Welcome to All Seasons Channel and Happy New Year to everybody out there. Today we want to talk about how to store your RV for the winter and some of the components that kind of go with storing your RV for the winter. Now if you live in a warm climate, this video does not pertain to you. But if you live in a cold climate where it's going to get below freezing or well below freezing, then there's going to be some stuff on this video that should be useful to you. First and foremost, if you do live in a cold climate, don't forget to winterize the water system on your RV. You'd be surprised how many people have called me in the spring and go, hey, we're getting ready to go camping and I got water leaks all over the place. And get there and the water line's frozen, busted, commode valves froze, water spigots, you name it, water heaters frozen, busted tank. And I go, I think you might have forgot to winterize your camper. And they go, winterize? So yeah, if you live in a cold climate, don't forget to winterize your water system. There's a lot of different ways of doing this. I've got some videos on how to winterize. I'll put a link up here to those videos. There's several different ways you're doing it. I do it with RV antifreeze. I'm sure there's videos out there on YouTube that show you how to just blow the lines out. I'm not a big fan of that because it seems like it always leaves water somewhere. You can do the antifreeze method like I do, and you can watch my videos, see how to do that. Or you can store your RV in a climate-controlled storage facility. Even right here in Beckley, West Virginia, we have one of those. They do recommend that you winterize your unit just in case the power would be off for an extended amount of time or whatever, and the climate control would go away. They don't want people come back and go, hey, you owe me so much money for my RV freezing up. So they still, even in a climate controlled storage facility, they still want you to winterize your camper. So don't forget to do that. And I really think no matter whether you live in a warm climate or a cold climate, a quality cover is not a bad idea. If you're not going to be using your RV for months at a time, it should be covered either under a metal carport, under some kind of structure, or at least quality RV cover. The quality, by quality RV cover, I'm talking about one that is designed to cover an RV. They are breathable. They don't hold moisture in. I think a lot of times if you just throw an old blue tarp on your camper, it's going to do more damage than not covering it all. So a quality cover is a little expensive and they don't last forever. Typically what I see here in Southern West Virginia, if you get 4 seasons out of one, it's going to be pretty tattered and tore up at that point, and you'll have to replace it. But the quality ones have like felt on the inside, so it doesn't rub the paint off your side of your camper and stuff in the wintertime because the wind will flap it. Now that's another thing, the quality covers, they don't flap near as much as an old blue tarp. So yeah, I'm a firm believer, if you're not going to be using it for quite a while, to cover it somehow. Let's talk about your batteries. And by this, we're going to go over travel trailers, fifth wheels, and motorhomes. If you have motorhome, we'll do that one at the end. But let's just take travel trailer or fifth wheel right now. It kind of depends on where you're going to store your RV. If it's beside your house where you have access to electricity, you can leave your battery in the RV. I think that will be fine. But you need to manage it a little bit. Also have a video on how to service your wet cell batteries. I'll put a link right here to that. So now this is just talking about wet cell batteries, because to be honest with you, the lithiums that are out there now, some of these gel batteries, I don't really have a lot of experience with those. I would assume they'd be similar to wet cell batteries, but I don't know that for sure. But today we're just going to talk about wet cell batteries. So your wet cell battery in your travel trailer or fifth wheel, as long as you have access to electricity, you can leave it in the RV, I believe. Because as long as the battery's charged, it won't freeze. Now, if you go to Antarctica or somewhere, this may change, but I don't think there's a lot of RVs in Antarctica. So in southern West Virginia here, we can get very cold. It usually doesn't last. Now, you guys up north, Canada, stuff like that, I don't know. It may be different up there, but for here, you can leave your batteries in, but a wet cell battery needs to be excited at least once a month. So don't expect to just leave it in your RV, for the 4 months of winter or whatever, and in the spring everything be hunky-dory, because it may not be. The battery needs to be excited. By excited, you either need to take some charge out or put some charge in. I suggest you do both. Like I say, if it's beside your house, go out and turn all the interior lights and stuff on, for a little bit, for 30 minutes, and then plug your camper into an outlet. Now, if just make sure you plug it into a 110 volt outlet. Don't plug your 30 amp receptacle into a dryer outlet in your garage or something like that. Just be sure and plug it into a 110 volt circuit. All right, tell you what, let's clarify some of these shore cord questions that you might have. I know it's a little bit confusing for a lot of people. This is what a typical 30 amp shore cord would look like on your RV. It's 3 prongs. The flat ones are angled and the round one is the ground, and that's now a lot of 30 amp receptacles, in a household situation such as a dryer. Dryer is probably going to be about it. That's all I can think of right now. But now that may be the same configuration. That receptacle in your house may be. And if you just hire an electrician, say, hey, I need a 30 amp receptacle wired out here so I can plug my camper in. All right, electrician, if he doesn't have any camper experience, you tell him 30 amp receptacle, he's automatically going to think 220 volt. That's not good for an RV. I've got videos on that too. Tell you what, I'll just throw a link to one of them up here. You don't want to plug your 30 amp RV in a 220 amp outlet, because it can be wired as a 110 volt outlet, just like it should be, just as easily as it can be wired 220. All right, so that's enough about that. Now, if you have a 50 amp RV, and a lot of your travel trailers and fifth wheels now are 50 amp. I don't have the male version, but that's what the female version of the 50 amp would look like. Just imagine the male part has the outies, hence the male and female. But now the 50 amp receptacle for an RV is wired 220. So this is just an adapter that you can use to, if you have a 50 amp RV and you want to plug it into a 30 amp receptacle, you can do that. And also you can use this 30 to 15 adapter. This is called a 50 to 30 because it takes a 50 amp, reduces it to 30. This is a 30 to 15. Now this will go right on your 30 amp shore cord, whether you have a 30 amp RV or a 50 amp. This will allow you to just plug into, just a wall receptacle in your house. Now this will not run your entire RV. It will definitely, you can plug it in, you can charge your batteries, you can even run one air conditioner at a time for a short amount of time. If you catch a warm day, you want to exercise your air conditioners, you can definitely do that one at a time. Don't try and turn two on. You're going to start kicking breakers in your house or wherever you're plugged in. You can even run a short extension cord and you can still get away with exercising your air conditioners for a short period of time. I wouldn't run them more than 15-20 minutes, like I say, one at a time. So, all right, I think that should clarify some of your short cord questions. If you got any other questions, definitely leave them in the comments and I'll try to answer them. And let that battery charge. A deep cycle battery takes a long time to discharge, and it also takes a long time to charge. So if you once a month you go out and you say you turn all the lights on, and the interior lights to take a little charge off the battery, then plug it in, let it charge for 24, 48 hours or something, and then unplug it. Because it's not really a good thing for batteries to just let them constantly charge. They'll blow them dry, and then you're going to have issues. So, but that's what that video that I put a link up here, it'll tell you how to check the water and stuff in that. Okay. If you have a battery disconnect on your RV, it's usually a big red switch on an RV. Definitely cut that battery off. Disconnect the battery. The weeks that you're not coming in and exciting the battery, or charging the battery, whatever, but just go ahead and disconnect that battery. That'll keep that battery from completely discharging. There's a lot of things in a modern RV, even a travel trailer, that draw on a battery. You got your LP leak detector. I think a lot of these boards, even when they're cut off in these appliances, I think will draw a little bit of power. You might have a little bit of parasitic draw. That's not a big deal while you're using the RV, but it can discharge battery. You do not want to let those batteries discharge because they will freeze, and once they freeze, they're done. So if you don't have a battery disconnect, it's not a bad idea. If you've got a travel trailer, there's a plastic cover, usually on top of the battery. It's on the tongue. Pull the cover off, disconnect one of the terminals from the battery. It's probably going to be either a wing nut or it'll be like a 1/2 inch or 9/16 nut. You go ahead and disconnect one of the battery cables. If fifth wheel, most modern fifth wheels have a battery disconnect now, but if you don't, same thing. Now watch, you may have two batteries in a fifth wheel, so the one battery will just be connected to the other battery right beside of it. So you'll want to take one of the cables off the main battery, where the cables are going from the battery into the coach. Take one of those cables off, and that will keep that battery from drawing down, going dead, and that'll keep it from freezing. So let's say you've got your RV stored somewhere where there is no access to power. Maybe you've got it stored at an outdoor storage facility, or like a lot of our campgrounds here in southern West Virginia, they turn the electricity off in the wintertime. It's because they charge a different rate, and they don't want you going down there and using your camper in the wintertime, using a bunch of electricity. So they just cut the power off. So there's no access to power there. In that situation, in your travel trailer or your fifth wheel, it is best to take your battery off or out of your RV, take it home with you. Maybe you have an attached garage on your home. You can put it in there. And once again, you'll still need to excite that battery once a month or so while it's in storage. It's a little bit harder to discharge it in that situation, but you can definitely hook it up to a charger, a low amperage charger, say a 2 amp charger or something. Charge it a couple days a month. In the spring, you still should have a good battery. Now, deep cycle batteries, like everything else, don't seem like they last like they used to. Used to be it wasn't uncommon if you took care of a battery for the last 5 or 6 seasons. Seems like that's not the case anymore. 3 or 4 seasons, about all you're gonna get out of a battery anyway. But definitely, if you neglect your batteries, you're gonna get a lot less time out of it. And batteries have gotten expensive, so take care of your batteries. Some of this will transfer from the travel trailers, fifth wheels, to the motorhomes. All right, so now let's talk about motorhomes, and we're really only going to concentrate on the coach batteries. I'll mention a little bit about chassis battery, but this is mostly about the coach batteries. Now, motorhomes typically, they may have a lot of batteries. They're not so easy to remove. They're actually, fastened in, bolted in. So it's not so easy to remove them. But most motorhomes also, even if you don't have access to electricity, they have an onboard generator. So once a month, start your generator. Let the generator run for a little bit. That's good for the generator. That will charge the batteries. That will excite the batteries. Take that opportunity to start the engine on your motorhome. That way it gets moved a little bit. The chassis battery will get charged, and that's good for everything. Just to move the oil around, charge batteries, run the generator, keep it from the carburetor from gobbing up on it. If it's warm enough that day, run your air conditioner for a little bit. If you take catch a warm day and do that, just go ahead and run your air conditioner a little bit. That's good for it too, I believe. Things don't like to set and not be used. They will last longer, and you'll get more life out of things if it's used a little bit all the time. All right, so motorhomes. Most of them will have a battery disconnect for the coach batteries. Some even have a disconnect for the chassis battery. Typically that will be wherever most of your electrical controls are at, whether it's just inside the entry door, up on the dash of the motorhome, or in a cabinet somewhere. That will be where your battery disconnects are. In between the weeks when you're not coming out, and exciting the batteries by running stuff, disconnect those batteries. That will keep them from discharging, because a discharged battery will freeze and it destroys the battery. Once it's froze, it's done. So be sure and disconnect your batteries, and then when you come back to the once a month to run things, excite the batteries and all that, cut your batteries on. They should be fully charged or very close to it, and then you can just charge and excite, and everybody will have a good time. All right, well, there you have it. There is storing your RV for the winter and taking care of some of the components such as the batteries, the generators, all that stuff. So as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you have not. Check out my Patreon page. And just thank you for watching my videos, and I hope you will continue to do so, because I'm having a lot of fun doing them, and I'm hoping you're having a lot of fun watching them. So I'm going to go down the road and fix another one, and y'all have a fantastic day. And in the spring, you still should. All right, this is well, I know this about the travel trailer, the fifth wheel. I don't want to say it.